All right, good evening, everybody. I hope you all have had a great holiday week. It was wonderful to be here with my family. However, not so fun that 4 out of the 11 of my family members are out for the count with a stomach bug starting Christmas. No fun, including my 2-year-old. So I do have the Modern Trader Summit up here because it is on pre-sale until February 1st. Some amazing speakers coming. I'm going to announce another one coming up on Monday. I was doing it every Friday, but unfortunately dealing with a sick 2-year-old took precedence. So I would love to see you there. Definitely book your ticket before the seat prices go up. And let's go ahead and get into the watch list for the week. If there's anybody out there, just let me know if you can hear me, please. That would be awesome. Okay, so we have the SPY here, and let's go ahead and just go to these settings here, and let's just hide the text here. So what is really cool, right, is I didn't want to do that. With the SPY, we have it testing this trend line right here. Let's go ahead and make this full screen. Let's hide this, so it's a little bit easier to see. Okay, so this is the 1 month chart, right? And we're butting up against this trend line here. Let's go ahead and look at the weekly chart as well, right? So weekly chart, we've broken above this trend line, right? And let's just go ahead and let's draw a quick trend line right here. So we have this one and to right there. No, doesn't do us any good, so we'll get rid of that. All right, and let's go to our daily chart. So on the daily chart, we do have this trend line as well. It came up, broke above, and then it pulled back down to close just below. This is TradingView. I do use TradingView for all of my charting. Awesome, thanks Elysium. I appreciate that feedback. So this right here is just the volume profile. So you can kind of see what the point of the control is for that day. So you can see right here, obviously we closed up above on, let's see, today is Saturday. So on Friday, we just closed just below the point of control. So I'm feeling like we've hit this resistance point. We are going to be pulling back. Any coincidence that the point of control is also the VWAP for the day? Probably not. We are above the moving averages, and we have been breaking to new highs. However, we had massive volume right here, right? And it was a high volume doji. We broke above it. It came up. We are above the moving averages right here, right? So it could come and it could curl back down and test this lower trend line. So potentially thinking a test of this trend line here, 320.75 area potentially, and to see if we can break below this high volume doji candle that happened on the 20th. If we break below this high volume doji, I'm going to start to feel pretty bearish. Look, then we've got this gap to fill to the downside over here. So the bottom of this candlestick here is 319.39. So I think our first is we're going to come back, potentially test this 4 EMA, then back down to the 8 EMA, test this downward trend, or excuse me, test this trend line right here, and then come and test the bottom of this candlestick. If we have buying power to drive it back up like we did on the 20th, then that's probably just another area of buying to add to the big guy's position, and then we're going to move up, right? Because we want to pay attention to the big volume because that's going to be what's moving the market. And let's go to the Qs. So NASDAQ, right? So NASDAQ, same scenario. We had that big move up, and now it looks like we're in the, it almost looks like the exact same chart, right? And we are breaking above all new highs. IWM, a little bit different, right? We had this massive run up. Now we closed below the 4 EMA, still below the point of control for the day, tested the 8 EMA here, and it looks like this could potentially have a curl down. We did have higher than normal volume. We had a bearish engulfing candlestick. Didn't close all the way at the bottom of the day, but it did take out actually almost the past 4 candlesticks. So the past 4 trading days were taken out on Friday. So that's interesting to me to see. However, look, we had these massive volume spikes here. Did we close below it? The low of this day, 165.72, and we closed here at 165.86. We did drop below 165.72, however, we did not close below it. Point of control is looking like 166, so just above that low of this high volume doji again on the 20th. So keeping that on watch for sure. All of these could be signals that this massive volume that we had on the 20th, they might have been somewhat faking people out and saying, hey, we're going to have this Christmas rally, we're going to the moon, right? We also have all the news that's coming along and saying, hey, this market is set up for a major move to the downside. They might have squeezed the shorts, taken it up parabolic, faked those shorts out thinking, hey, this is going to rip to the moon, and then they sold right to them. So we'll keep that on watch. As you guys know, if you're new to following me, please like and subscribe, and let me know if there's anything you'd like me to share on the internet. I did have my Series 7 back in 2001, and I'm no longer current, so please do your own due diligence in your prep work for trading, but this is my opinion for the week going forward. Let me just get rid of that volume profile right there. And knowing that, let's go ahead and get into the potential longs for the week. I do say potential because the market could take it either way. I'm going to give you some levels to look at so that you are going to be able to make an assessment where the big guys potentially are loaded to buy or sell their shares based on what we're reading on the chart. That's why I actually have gotten rid of my candlesticks to be red or green. I don't want to psych myself out psychologically. All right, let's go to a 15-minute chart. First, on my potential long, you can see over here I have the stock ticker. We've got the support, the resistance, and the float. So the volume that is traded publicly, that is available to be traded publicly. I've just started highlighting them in yellow for the ones that are less than 20 million. So those have the ability to be those massive movers that could go from, you know, the price all the way and double and triple in one day if there's enough volume behind it to go ahead and drive that price action up. BLIN is one definitely for sure with 2.6 million that could happen fairly easily. All right, so let's get into it. So Kodak is on my list as a potential long. So I want to see it on the 15-minute chart here. And we'll move this over a little bit. Give us some more room. All right, so let's go ahead and start getting into our drawings here. All right, so really looking at that $4 mark for me, the whole dollar round number, second test potentially up here, 407, and then support to the downside if it's going to rip down. I actually almost want to bring it all the way down here, 357. And when we pull it back on the daily, let's see here. When we pull it back on the daily, you can see that it had a prior high here, so 373. So I'm actually going to raise that on up to 373 right there as the area to be broken to the downside. All right, so we've got 373 and $4. All right, it was 57% short volume on Friday. Now, what is the short volume? When you have the overall volume for the day that is traded, you have people going long, you also have people selling, and then you have people shorting the stock. So 57% of that volume on Friday was people shorting the stock. So we know at least 7% is still short overall. I like to look at that if there's going to be a potential squeeze that might happen. We had higher than normal volume here, higher than normal volume on the 18th as well, and it closed above it. However, it did have selling power into the end of the day. So if it had ended up stronger, I would think for sure we would have a gap up. There's just a potential because we came back almost a third of the way back down on that candlestick. All right, next potential long, FPAY. Right, same scenario. Now this one we closed up high, almost at the high of the candlestick on Friday. Up after hours, like I was saying, that's not a surprise to me because the momentum was going up. I see that there's a pretty strong, we have a strong resistance that flipped to be support right here. And it looks almost like there's a bit of a bull flag right here that had set up with an ascending wedge. So I'm going to draw another level right here. So 250 for our initial support to be broken, secondary one of 245, and we're going to go ahead and bring it right on up to 270 to get up to that round number. Many times you'll see that people's brains will go ahead and go right to that round number. So we've got 250 and 270, and I'm curious, let's just back it out to 5 years. Has it had crazy spikes? So we came and tested a prior support area here as a resistance. Any wonder? No. So 287 might be the next markup after 270, and then on up to $3 from there, and then potentially 310 for potential targets on the upside going forward. All right, let's look at Blinn. Blinn is going to be one, we're on that weekly chart, potential to really go crazy. These are old levels, so let's go ahead and just remove all drawing tools here, and let's go to our 15-minute chart. Now, massive move after hours here. Look, it went from 190 all the way up to 264. Sometimes that might be an indication of where they might want to take it later. So let's put this initial level we want to see broken of 220, potential target up here of this high of that candle, 270, and for our support, I'm going to put it right here, top of this, 194. So we've got 194 for potential for the breakdown below, and then 220 for the area to the upside. All right, and let's look at it on our yearly chart. Right, so we can see back here, look at that. Any wonder it had earnings back here. We also have ascending volume down here on the bottom. It has broken through all of the averages. It's starting to really curl up, and it hit that resistance point, broke back down. So 194 again for support, and it looks like 243 might act as a resistance area, maybe even over here, 246. Before we could break that 269, and then I would look for that next target for resistance up here at the top of this candlestick, which is, let's go over, 311 right there. So those are the areas that I'm looking at for potential targets as well. Also 231 right here. All right, and let's get into Suncor. So Suncor is actually a Canadian company. And when we look at it on the 15-minute chart, had a bit of a pullback on Friday. However, look, we came back from 32 all the way up to 33, pulled back a little bit. We'll look at it on the daily chart as well. So I'm really going to look at a break of resistance right up there, 32.86, and looking for support to hold a 32.58. When we look at it on the daily chart, to me, if we back it out on a weekly, you're going to see this even more clearly here. So let's look at it on a weekly chart. I was looking at this chart and I was like, oh my goodness. Anybody else see this upside down head and shoulders? Shoulder, shoulder, and head, right? So if we are able to break through here, you might see a nice move up, upside down head and shoulders. Maybe up to the 39 area, maybe up 37.85, 37.90 right here. So keeping that on watch. So we'll go ahead and remove the drawing tools. Oops. I'll go back to that 15-minute chart. We'll draw those levels again. All right, we've got the red right over here, 32.57, and we were up at 32.86, right? Yeah, right up there. Make that as green. If you guys have any questions, just let me know. Happy to answer them along the way. Hope you guys had an amazing week. Tesla. Tesla is one that has been ripping like crazy. And the shorts, this is the first day that I have seen, let me just double check it again, 64%. Excuse me, I mistyped that. So short volumes I get from shortvolume.com, shortvolumes.com right here. So for the past 54 days, let's see, back here. For the past 50 days, an average of 55% short for Tesla. The shorts keep adding and adding and adding. Look at this. All last week, The past 10 days, it was 60% short volume. Past 5 days, 62% short volume. These shorts are getting very, very stubborn with Tesla. And as the saying goes, the market can act irrational longer than you can stay solvent. So these shorts with Tesla that keep adding and adding and adding, they might really get quite burned. I'd had, you know, back when it broke 400, I said, hey, I'm giving, actually back here when it broke this area, I said, I'm giving it a target of 523 in the next 123 trading days. People are, no, next 100, I don't remember, 3 months. And I thought, Jane, you're crazy. I said, no, really? This is one of the most highly shorted stocks that's out there, and these people are getting stubborn. We do start to see that the volume is descending here a bit, so maybe they are going to back off a little bit, but you can see we broke out from the prior high right here, 388.92, and now we're $50 up above that. Do I honestly think it's going to go up higher? Yes, I do. However, we are a bit far away from the averages. Let me draw it back here. So we might pull back, test the 424 area before we rip higher. So keep it on watch. I think it really has a lot of potential movement to the upside. So let's draw those levels in. Let's put the levels in here, 428.87 and 436.50. All right, potential shorts. So we have race, right? Ferrari. Who's a Ferrari fan out there? My husband and I are NSX fans after driving it on the track in Tremblant. It was amazing. Got to do the driving experience. If you guys have a chance, go look at Acura Canada driving, NSX driving experience. You'll see me there talking all about the car. All right, here we go. Why did I put those levels? These are old. Let's get rid of these. All right. How many times did it test here and it failed? Once. Actually, correction. Once. Twice. 3 times. 4 times. 5 times. 6 times. 7 times. We have higher than normal volume, and we had a big selling wick here. So really looking for it to go ahead and break down. Really bearish on the name, probably below 166. But actually 166 and then down to 160, actually the 50 simple moving average here, 164. So it's got some nice $5 movement. I think it could probably come down and test this 50 simple moving average before it goes up. However, when we look back at the stock, has that 50 simple moving average really held as support? No, it has not. So looking, it could come all the way back down to 155 before we start to see a big move to the upside again. And with these tests, it's never holding above. Every time it pops above 170, 169 area, it's selling off. So that's why I have it on my list as a potential short for this week. Obviously, with the 7th test, it could go just the opposite. That's why these are potential shorts and potential longs. All right, WAAS, Aqua Venture Holdings. So we came up here, massive volume. Volume is descending. The volume weighted average price is starting to crawl back. Looking at this, thinking we've got a nice gap fill to the downside, right? So if we pull it back here, I'm going to look for support down here. Look at that. Support right back over here on the 23rd as well. So looking for that to break down 2708. And then support, excuse me, that was a support. So looking for that to break, the support to break down, and resistance of 2732. Now, this one could have a big move as well. Lower float, 18 million. I'm not sure about the short volume. Didn't check it out. But let's just go and see really quickly, right? Just this easy to see if it's going to squeeze those shorts as well. So, short volume, and it's coming up 14%. So a lot of that volume was still buying power on Friday. Next potential short, Rite Aid, right? Rite Aid had massive move up, went from $14 all the way up to $24. And now you can see this one was on my list on Friday. was pretty much in the no trade zone on Friday. Look at how it has that support right there. Do you see that? How there's obviously a computer that's holding it right here. If it were to break that level, it could crumble back down to 18 area, 1850 fairly easily, and that's at 1981 is that support. And I would look for the resistance right here that was support in the past. I would like that to break down, right? Because more than likely there's going to be computers defending that range again. So 1981 and 2021. All right. Luis, I will look at that. Hey, Stockfella, Happy New Year's to you and your family as well. So you can see we also have this gap to fill, and it's really far extended away. So 1781 would not surprise me if we come down $2 back down to test that in the upcoming week. Luis, I will definitely pull up HD. If that happens to slip by, let me know and we will come back to it, okay? All right, so we've got Apple here. Yes, I have Apple on my potential short list. Look at how it has bounced off of this average right here. This is really cool. If you guys want to learn more about these averages, I do teach in the training pit as well. Very cool. We do trade around the dark pool. And honestly, learning all about it will definitely change the way you trade for the better, because you start to see what the big guys with billions and billions of dollars are doing. All right. Okay. So we've got Apple, right? Apple had this nice rip, was tearing up. This is paper trade right here and right here, showing people how to use it. So we're far away from the averages. We have selling power at the top, higher than normal volume when we're up at the top. I don't necessarily use RSI to get into a trade or out of a trade, but I do look at it. We are showing a bit overbought. The momentum indicator is a little high. The channel index indicator is a little high. TTM squeeze is starting to come down just a touch. So we might start to see this pull back. Very interesting, because Apple is 12% of QQQ ETF and 3.5% of the SPY ETF. So a big one to watch. Same sort of chart for Facebook. However, we do have a bit of buying power on that candlestick from Friday for Facebook. But overall, I'm feeling like we might have a bit of a pullback. Not necessarily correction, but a bit of a pullback with the market, right? Because we've been going up, rallying with all of the big guys away on holiday. The algos aren't necessarily turned on. Maybe they're just going long. So looking, actually, I want to bring it all the way up to the top of this candle here. All right. Okay, here we've got that test of the high back in July as well. So second test. So we're going to see if we're able to break through to the upside. I think we might have a bit more of a pullback, like I just said. So again, this is all my opinion. So just be prepared. Know where those support and resistance is, and let the chart tell you when to enter and exit the trade, right? Now, potential longer term swings. We have Hexo right here. Hexo, I like. We've got larger than normal volume. We've got this gap here, potential gap fill up. It is a lower price stock. However, if we pull it back onto a weekly chart as well, you can see that we are going to have this downward trend. If we're able to go ahead and break that trend with some volume, then we might really see, it's got to come up though and break this here about the 220 area, right? We're still far away from that. But if we're able to break that with higher than normal volume, we might see a nice move on Hexo. Okay, next one on the list, Acor. Same sort of chart, right? It does have that. Let's get rid of this. This is an old one. Obviously, I drew it way back here. Well, let's see. So we started to have higher than normal volume right here around earnings, consolidation. Again, this is the weekly chart right here. See how the consolidation's happening, and we finally have a massive candlestick here with massive volume. Let's look at it on the daily, right? So we broke through, however, it didn't move up yet, still not moving, but we did find support right down here around 155. So if I were to get into this longer term, I would say, all right, this is 155. That's really going to be a level of support that I would be looking for to hold as my risk tolerance. which is still $1 up from here, and might give it to pull back to 209 before entering. It's a little bit far away from our averages right now. Let's put it on auto so you can see that. So 214 really, but we've started to have the averages curling up, so potential long there, and AEMD, penny stock as well. But I was looking and I really like all the charts, right? We've got this gap to fill to the upside, so if this one can break above 115 right here, 115 up to 198. So I'm going to go ahead and do this, set a little alert right there, add alert, crossing up, might have a little move. However, biomedical stocks can be super, super risky. All right, Luis, you want to look at HD. Let's pull that up. All right, 255 for the next 2 weeks. All right, 255. Looking at it right now, I have no idea where. It looks like it might have a resistance coming up here. We also have this moving average right around 223. I don't think that it would hit 255 in the next 2 weeks, obviously, but if you're using it as a vehicle to trade, you know, breaking it down, it looks like, to me, this is going to be our range, right? It sort of looks like we're in a consolidation period right now. If we do the drawing tools, where we've got this area right here, right? So I don't know how long they might be laying their position. Like, it almost looks like an upside down head and shoulders again, like we were looking at with Suncor when we look at it on the daily, right? Do you see that? We've got a shoulder, head, and potentially shoulder right there. So it could have more move to the upside, but we've got some averages along in the way, and we have the 50 simple moving average right here, 225.86. So watch for those roadblocks along the way. Okay, 255. And then the Disney call, let's look at that. You know, these are just my opinions again, so don't necessarily, you know, take it as a grain of salt, just looking at it and assessing the chart. Looking at it right now for Disney, to me, looking at the chart, without the, I really find that without the green and red candles, that I am really finding that I find it, let me just remove that really quickly and we'll draw it again. I need to draw a channel. I'm seeing a bit of a downward channel here, right? So 148 call. If we have the potential to break out here, we might have a bigger run on Disney. You know, maybe they're going to come out with reporting, hey, we had so many people subscribe over the holidays. I know that my sister-in-law and brother that have 3 kids really watch Disney Plus all the time. We need to get it as well because our kids love Disney. So I think that might really boost it if they come out with an announcement like that. However, right now it looks like it's in a bit of a downward channel to me. And without breaking out, you know, it might come up and test the area of 148. But right now, I have no idea where you stand in your position. But that's just the assessment of the chart that I have for that. So I hope that really helps you, Luis. And I hope you guys had a great holiday weekend. Remember, 2 more trading days left in the decade. Make sure you check out the Modern Trader Summit. All the speakers that are going to be there are amazing people that want to help other traders succeed. Again, the basics of trading all are the same. However, it's important to go ahead and mesh with somebody that you understand, somebody that has the same trading style, somebody that cares about you being profitable instead of just selling you something. There are so many people out there that are just like, hey, just buy my product. I've got the secret sauce. There's no secret sauce. There's a different strategy for every single person, and you have to figure that out for yourself. All right? Carpe Profit. Have a great week. Bye.